The twin suns burned above the jagged spires of Korathul, the capital of the Zarth Dominion. The air was thick with dust and the echo of war drums. Across the black stone plaza, thousands of alien soldiers filled the stands of the grand arena. Their armored bodies glistened under the heat, their eyes, yellow and sharp, locked onto a single figure being dragged into the light. The figure was a human. His name was Ryan Hale, once a soldier of Earth's colonial defense. His uniform was torn, his hands bound with heavy iron chains, his face marked with dust and blood. Yet his steps were steady. He walked through the arena gates without fear. The crowd hissed and roared, chanting the name of their leader. Drakkar, Drakkar, Drakkar. The sound thundered through the city. From the royal balcony, Warlord Drakkar rose. He was massive, a creature of scales and muscle, standing twice as tall as Ryan. His armor shimmered in bronze and red, forged from the bones of ancient beasts. In his hand he carried the Spear of Dominion, an ancient weapon said to have ended 1,000 wars. The weapon pulsed with energy, each flicker echoing through the arena walls. Drakkar's voice carried through the stadium. Behold, the last of the human invaders, weak, fragile, soft. The crowd cheered and pounded their spears against the ground. Ryan did not speak. He looked up at the warlord, his blue eyes calm. His breathing was slow. He could feel the heat on his skin, smell the iron in the air, and hear the hum of the alien energy around him. But what he did not feel was fear. A guard kicked him forward. Ryan fell to one knee but rose again without a word. His chains clinked as he faced the towering alien who ruled this world. Drakkar laughed. You come to my world, fight my legions, and still stare at me as if you have won. Tell me, human, what gives you courage when your kind lies broken across the sand? Ryan's lips moved slightly. You talk too much. The crowd gasped at the insult. Even the guard stepped back. Drakkar's eyes burned brighter. He descended from his throne, each step shaking the arena floor. The warlord stopped only a few feet from Ryan. His spear pointed toward the human's chest. You will fight for their amusement, Drakkar said. Your death will remind them who rules this galaxy. The guards released Ryan's chains and pushed him to the center of the arena. The sand was hot under his boots. Around him stood 10 armored Zarth warriors, each one armed with curved blades and shields made of energy. The drums began to beat again, deep and slow. Ryan rolled his shoulders, feeling the pain in his muscles. He was tired, hungry, and bruised, but there was something else burning inside him. It was not anger. It was purpose. The first alien charged, shouting in the guttural Zarth tongue. Ryan moved aside, grabbed the alien's arm, and twisted it hard. The warrior crashed into the sand. Before the others could react, Ryan had already moved. He fought without a weapon, using speed and instinct. He ducked under a strike, grabbed another by the armor, and slammed him against the ground. The crowd screamed in shock. 2 more came at him together. Ryan kicked one in the chest, sending him stumbling back. The second swung wide, but Ryan caught his wrist and drove his elbow down, knocking the blade away. He turned and struck him in the face with a punch that echoed across the arena. By the time he looked up, only 3 remained. The crowd had fallen silent. Drakkar raised his hand. Enough, step aside. This one belongs to me. The remaining guards stepped back. The warlord walked into the arena, dragging his spear through the sand. Each step sent a low hum through the ground. The energy from the weapon flared, leaving sparks in the air. Ryan stood still. His breath was slow, his eyes fixed on the warlord. Drakkar circled him, the tip of his spear tracing lines in the sand. You have spirit, human. But spirit does not win wars. Strength does. He lunged forward, the spear thrusting like lightning. Ryan moved just in time, the blade missing his chest by an inch. The ground exploded where it struck. Drakkar swung again, faster than Ryan expected. The spear sliced through his sleeve, leaving a shallow cut across his arm. Ryan stepped back, pain flashing across his face. The warlord laughed. Even your blood is weak. Ryan clenched his fists. He waited for Drakkar's next move. The warlord thrust again, this time aiming for his heart. Ryan moved sideways and caught the shaft of the spear with both hands. The weapon vibrated violently in his grip, energy surging through it. The crowd gasped. No one had ever touched the Spear of Dominion without being burned alive. Yet Ryan held it firm. His boots dug into the sand as the warlord tried to push him down. Sparks flew around them. Drakkar growled, pressing harder. You are nothing. Ryan's muscles strained, veins standing out on his arms. The spear groaned under the pressure. He met Drakkar's glowing eyes and said quietly, Then why are you losing ground? With a roar, Drakkar pushed forward. Ryan's feet slid back an inch, but then he stopped. He planted himself like stone. He took a deep breath and twisted his body. A crack rang out. The spear split in two. Silence fell. Drakkar stumbled back, staring at the broken weapon in disbelief. The crowd froze. Even the wind stopped for a moment. Ryan let the broken half drop to the sand. He looked up at the Warlord, his chest rising and falling with heavy breaths. "You think strength is in weapons?" Ryan said. "It is not." The Warlord roared in fury and swung his claws at him. Ryan ducked and moved in close, driving his shoulder into Drakkar's chest. The alien staggered back a step. Ryan followed with a punch to the jaw, then another to the side of the head. The giant stumbled, crashing to one knee. Ryan stepped back, his fist still raised. The crowd watched in stunned silence as their warlord, undefeated in 100 battles, struggled to rise. Drakkar looked up, his expression a mix of rage and disbelief. "You cannot be human." Ryan's tone was calm. "I am exactly that." The warlord tried to stand, but his legs gave out. He fell forward, his body slamming into the sand. The arena trembled. Ryan stood over him, breathing hard. The broken spear lay between them. The sound of the crowd's shock rippled through the air. No one spoke. No one moved. A single voice broke the silence. It was Vera, commander of the arena guard. She stepped forward, her expression unreadable. Her crimson armor reflected the sunlight. She looked at Ryan, then at her fallen leader. Her voice was low but carried across the stadium. "The spear is broken." Another soldier repeated it. "The spear is broken." Then another. "The spear is broken." Within moments, thousands of voices chanted the same words, echoing across Korathul. The sound was deep and rhythmic, like thunder. Ryan did not understand their language fully, but he could feel the change in the air. The Zarth soldiers were not cheering for Drakkar anymore. They were chanting something new, something that carried awe instead of anger. Vera dropped to one knee. Her head bowed. "The prophecy," she whispered. "The breaker of dominion has come." Ryan looked around the vast arena. Every pair of yellow eyes was on him. Every weapon was lowered. The warlord's body lay still behind him. He had come to this world as a prisoner. Now, in one impossible moment, everything had changed. The soldiers of the Zarth Dominion began to bow. Ryan stood alone in the center of the arena, the sunlight blazing behind him, dust swirling at his feet. He said nothing. He didn't need to. His actions spoke for him. For the first time in history, the alien legion knelt before a human, and Ryan Hale realized that his fight for survival had just turned into something far greater. The crowd still knelt in silence. The heat from the twin suns pressed down and the air felt heavy with disbelief. At the center of the arena, Ryan stood unmoving. His breath came slow and steady, the broken half of the warlord's spear lying near his feet. The alien warlord Drakkar lay face down in the sand, his body trembling as he tried to rise. His armor was cracked, his pride crushed in front of his own legion. Never before had any being, let alone a human, defeated him. The arena that had once echoed with cheers now rang with fear. Ryan's eyes scanned the silent soldiers surrounding him. Their reptilian faces showed confusion. They did not know whether to attack him or to bow again. Their code of honor demanded respect for power, and Ryan had shown it in a way no creature ever had. Commander Vera stepped forward from the crowd. Her red armor shone under the sunlight. She looked at the human, then at the fallen warlord. Her voice was calm but strong. "You broke the sacred spear, the weapon of our god kings. Do you understand what that means?" Ryan looked at her. "I only defended myself." Her yellow eyes narrowed slightly. "To break the spear of dominion is to break the will of its master. Our legends say only one who carries the heart of a true warrior can do that." Ryan did not answer. He had no interest in myths or prophecies. He had only survived because he refused to die. Drakkar roared in rage and forced himself to his feet. Blood streaked across his jaw. He picked up the broken end of his spear and pointed it at Ryan. "You will not take my honor, human. You will die by my hands." Ryan didn't move. His voice was steady. "You already lost." The warlord charged forward, the sand erupting beneath his heavy steps. Ryan braced himself. The crowd screamed as Drakkar swung the half-spear downward, aiming for Ryan's head. Ryan caught it. Again. The force of the strike shook the ground, but Ryan's hands held firm. The shaft cracked again under the pressure. Before Drakkar could react, Ryan twisted his body, driving his knee into the Warlord's chest. The alien stumbled backward, air blasting from his lungs. Ryan stepped closer and struck again, this time with his bare hand against the Warlord's armor. The impact sent the alien crashing into the arena wall. Dust rose in clouds as the massive warrior collapsed, the broken spear clattering beside him. The crowd erupted in shouts. Some cheered, others screamed in disbelief. Ryan looked down at the fallen warlord, breathing hard but steady. His body ached, but his focus was sharp. Vera raised her arm and shouted something in her native tongue. The other soldiers froze. Slowly, she stepped into the arena and knelt beside the warlord. After a long pause, she stood and faced Ryan. "The battle is done," she said clearly. "The spear is shattered. The code is clear. The victor stands." The silence that followed was deep. Then, as if moved by an invisible command, hundreds of Zarth soldiers lowered their weapons. Drakkar groaned, clutching his chest. His voice cracked with anger.
"He is not one of us."
"He is a creature of a dying world. He cannot lead warriors of the Dominion." Vera looked down at him. "He earned that right through strength. The code demands respect even from you." Drakkar's claws scraped the sand. "You would kneel to a human?" Vera met his glare without fear. "I kneel to victory." Ryan watched silent. He had no wish for their thrones or titles. He wanted only to survive and find a way off this planet. But he understood now that his victory had changed something much larger. Two guards approached carefully. They did not aim their weapons. Instead, they bowed slightly and gestured for Ryan to follow. Vera spoke again. "The Council of Warlords will want to see you. There will be questions." "Be ready," Ryan nodded. "I'll face them." She studied him for a moment. "You already have. You faced one of the strongest beings in this galaxy and walked away alive. The Council will not know whether to fear you or worship you." As they led him through the arena gates, the chants began again, low at first, then rising like thunder. The Zarth soldiers pounded their fists against their armor, repeating a single word. "Breaker, breaker, breaker." Ryan looked back once. Drakkar still lay in the sand, defeated but alive. Their eyes met briefly. In that stare, Ryan saw more than anger. He saw respect born from humiliation. Inside the stone corridors, Ryan was taken to a chamber lit by blue fire crystals. Alien symbols glowed faintly along the walls. Vera followed him, dismissing the guards. "You should not have survived that fight," she said quietly. "The Spear of Dominion channels the energy of a dying star. No being has ever stopped it." Ryan sat on a cold metal bench. "Then maybe it was never about the weapon." She tilted her head. "Explain." "Strength isn't in metal or power. It's in what you refuse to give up." Vera studied him in silence. "You speak like our old warriors. But your kind was never known for such words. Most humans we captured begged for life." Ryan looked up at her. "Maybe that's why I didn't." For the first time, Vera's expression softened. "You are strange, human. The Legion will not know what to make of you. Some already whisper that you are the chosen breaker from prophecy." Ryan frowned. "Prophecy?" She turned toward the wall, tracing the glowing symbols with her claw. "Long ago it was said that the Dominion would fall not by another alien, but by the hands of one born from the ashes of a weak world. A being who would shatter the weapon of conquest and end the age of warlords." Ryan shook his head. "I'm not here to end anything. I just want to go home." Vera turned back to him. "You may not have a choice. Once a prophecy begins, it moves on its own path." Before Ryan could answer, the door opened. Two armored guards entered, followed by a tall alien with golden armor and dark green eyes. His voice was deep and controlled. "I am Kor, Council General of the Dominion. The news has reached every fortress within the hour. The Warlord has fallen and the spear is broken. You have created a storm that cannot be stopped." Ryan stood. "Then let it come." Kor studied him. "You do not fear what will follow?" Ryan's answer was simple. "Fear doesn't help." The general gave a short nod. "Perhaps you're not as weak as I thought. Still, there are those who will not accept this defeat. They will come for you soon. Rest while you can." When the guards and general left, Ryan sat again. The chamber was quiet except for the hum of alien energy running through the walls. He thought of Earth, its blue skies, its simple air, and wondered if he would ever see it again. Vera remained by the door. "The soldiers outside are confused. They respect you, but they also fear you. It will not take long before someone tries to test you again." Ryan met her gaze. Then I'll be ready. She smiled faintly, a rare expression for her kind. You remind me of something we lost long ago. Honor. Ryan leaned back against the wall. Honor's not lost. You just have to choose it. The night fell over Korathul. From his chamber window, Ryan could see the twin moons rise over the alien city. Fires burned in the distant towers where the legions trained. The broken half of Drakar's spear rested on a stone table beside him. It glowed faintly, pulsing as if alive. He touched the surface of the weapon. It hummed, reacting to his touch. The blue light brightened. Strange symbols appeared along the shaft, moving like living lines. He pulled his hand back quickly. What is this thing made of? He asked aloud. Vera turned. It was forged from the core of a fallen star. Only the warlords could control it. Until today. Ryan looked at the weapon again. Then maybe that's why they're afraid. She nodded slowly. You did what none of us could. You changed the order of this galaxy. Ryan gazed out at the moons. Change isn't always bad. Maybe it's needed. Vera walked closer. Tomorrow the council will decide your fate. Some will want you executed to erase their shame. Others will want to crown you as their symbol of power. Ryan gave a tired smile. I'd prefer neither. You may not get to choose, she said. Outside, the drums of the Dominion began to beat again, echoing through the night. It was not the rhythm of war this time. It was the sound of soldiers who did not know what future awaited them. Ryan watched the horizon until the first light of dawn touched the towers. The city stirred again, and distant horns called the legions to assembly. He knew the coming day would bring more than questions. It would bring challenges, betrayals, and new battles. But he was no longer the human prisoner dragged in chains. He was the one who broke the spear. He was the breaker of dominion, and the galaxy was beginning to take notice. Morning came with a crimson sky. The city of Korathul glowed under the rising suns. Drums echoed through the streets as the Zarth legions marched toward the Grand Hall. Today, the council would decide the fate of the human who had broken the spear of dominion. Ryan stood near the window of his stone chamber, watching the alien world come alive. The twin suns painted the horizon in gold and red. He had not slept much. The events of the last day replayed in his mind. The fight, the broken spear, and the strange silence that followed. He had no plan, no allies, and no way home. But he knew one thing. He would not kneel. The heavy doors opened behind him. Commander Vera entered in full armor, her red cape flowing behind her. She carried herself with quiet authority. It is time, she said. Ryan turned. They want to judge me for surviving? Vera nodded. The council wants to see what kind of creature can defeat their warlord. They want to decide whether you are a threat or a miracle. Ryan gave a faint smile. Maybe both. Two guards stepped forward. This time they did not bind him in chains. They only guided him through long corridors carved from black stone. The air inside the palace felt colder than the desert outside. Strange symbols glowed faintly along the walls, and alien banners hung from the ceiling, each one showing the spear symbol now broken in half. When Ryan entered the grand hall, the noise of thousands of armored boots stopped. The Zarth Council sat in a semicircle of stone thrones. Each warlord was massive and distinct, their armor painted with their legion's colors. The center seat, higher than the rest, belonged to High Lord Kor, the same one who had visited Ryan last night. Vera stood beside him as they approached. Kor raised his hand and silence filled the hall. The Council of Warlords gathers to judge the one called Ryan Hale, he declared.
He is human.
He broke the spear of dominion. He defeated Drakar in open combat. Our code demands that his strength be recognized. But our pride demands that this insult be answered. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Some warlords growled in anger while others looked uncertain. Ryan stood tall in the center of the hall. His eyes moved across the faces of the alien leaders. I didn't come here to start a war. I came here because your armies attacked my people. I fought back because I had to. A female warlord with silver scales leaned forward. And yet you broke the sacred weapon. That act changes everything. It has been the symbol of our power for centuries. Without it, the Dominion will fall apart. Ryan met her gaze. Then maybe it should. The hall erupted in shouts. Spears pounded against the stone floor. The sound echoed like thunder. Kor lifted his arm again, silencing the noise. You speak boldly, human, Kor said. But strength is not just in words. If you wish to prove your worth, then you must show the heart of a leader. Will you face a trial? Ryan's voice was steady. If that's what it takes. Vera glanced at him, concern flashing in her eyes. They mean combat, she whispered, but not with weapons. It is a test of spirit and control. Ryan nodded. Then I'll face it. Kor stood. Very well. At dusk, the human will face the trial of dominion. If he survives, he will earn the right to speak before this council as an equal. If he fails, he dies with honor. The crowd shouted in approval. The decision was made. Later that day, Ryan was taken to a circular training ground deep beneath the palace. The floor was covered in black sand. Strange pillars rose from the edges, carved with alien runes. The heat was intense and the air shimmered with energy. Vera walked beside him. This trial is not only physical. The ground itself will test you. The Dominion built this place long ago to measure the strength of any warrior who claimed leadership. Many entered. Few survived. Ryan looked around. How does it work? The arena responds to your fear, Vera explained. It becomes what you dread most. The more you fight it, the stronger it becomes. Ryan looked at his hand, still rough from the last battle. Then I won't fear it. When the gates closed, the arena began to glow. The runes along the pillars pulsed with blue light. The black sand beneath Ryan's feet rippled like water. From the shadows, shapes began to form, figures in human armor. Ryan froze. They looked like his old squad, the soldiers who had fallen during the invasion. Their helmets were cracked, their bodies pale, their eyes empty. He took a step back. This isn't real. The phantoms raised their rifles. The air filled with the sound of gunfire. Energy bolts struck the sand where he stood. Ryan rolled aside and shouted, "You're not them." But his voice echoed with no answer. He charged forward, striking the first phantom with his fist. It dissolved into smoke, but two more appeared behind him. He ducked under their fire and tackled one to the ground. The illusion flickered, fading for a moment, but then reformed again. From the edge of the arena, the warlords watched silently. The trial had begun. Vera stood near Kor, her face tense. The arena is feeding on his memory. It will keep attacking until he breaks. Kor's tone was cold. If he breaks, then he was never meant to lead. Back inside, Ryan's breathing grew heavy. Sweat dripped from his forehead as he fought the endless waves. The ghosts of his fallen comrades surrounded him, each strike tearing at his mind more than his body. He could hear their voices, echoes from the past. You left us, Ryan. You couldn't save us. He closed his eyes and shouted, "No, I didn't abandon anyone." He slammed his fists into the ground. The sand shook and a burst of blue light spread outward. The phantoms froze. Ryan stood slowly, his voice calm. You are not my failure. You are my reason. The illusions shattered. The arena went dark for a moment, then began to glow gold instead of blue. The runes on the pillars shifted color. Above, the warlords exchanged looks. Kor rose from his seat. He has faced the trial of fear. Vera's eyes widened, and conquered it. The arena gates opened again. Ryan walked out slowly, his body bruised but his mind clear. The guard stepped back as he passed. He climbed the steps to the council platform where Kor waited. The High Lord looked down at him. Few have passed that trial. You faced what you feared most and did not yield. You have earned your voice, Ryan nodded. Then hear me. I didn't come to rule your people. I don't want thrones or power. But if you want peace, you'll stop attacking the worlds that never threatened you. The silver-scaled warlord hissed. You speak as if we are the only ones to blame. Your kind invaded our trade routes, mined our moons, and spread your colonies near sacred systems. Ryan met her glare. Then let's fix that instead of making it worse. The hall grew quiet again. Kor studied Ryan carefully. You talk like a commander. You fight like a soldier. But you think like something rarer. A leader who wants peace. He turned to the council. The code demands that we honor strength, not pride. I say the human lives. Let him stand among us as the breaker of dominion. Half the warlords shouted in anger. The others remained silent. The tension in the hall grew heavy. Then Vera stepped forward. I support this, she said. He saved our honor when he could have destroyed us. The prophecy speaks of a human who would break the spear and guide us out of endless war. I believe this is him. The chanting began again from the soldiers gathered outside the hall. Breaker, breaker, breaker. Kor raised his arm. So be it. Let his name be written in the records of Korathul. Ryan Hale, breaker of dominion. The council doors opened. The crowd outside roared as Ryan stepped into the light. Thousands of alien warriors saluted him with crossed arms, their way of showing allegiance. Ryan looked out across them. He saw no hatred now, only uncertainty and respect. Vera stood beside him, her expression calm. "You changed the course of their history," she said. Ryan shook his head. "Maybe, but this is only the beginning." Far above the arena, ships moved through the sky. Messages raced across the stars. The Galactic Council had already heard of the human who defeated the Warlord. Soon others would come, some with questions, others with fear. Ryan watched the horizon. The war had ended for now, but something greater was starting. The galaxy was watching. The twin suns set behind the spires of Korathul, bathing the alien city in a red glow. The chants of the soldiers still echoed across the plazas. Ryan Hale stood on the balcony of the Warlord's fortress, his gaze fixed on the distant mountains. The horizon shimmered with the heat of engines. Fleet lights dotted the sky. The Zarth Dominion was moving again, but this time it was not for war. It was for order. Behind him, Commander Vera approached quietly. Her armor reflected the sunset, and her tone carried a mix of pride and warning. "The Council accepted you as the Breaker of Dominion. But that name is not a title of peace. It carries power and danger. Half of the Warlords fear you. The rest want to follow you." Ryan didn't turn around. "And what about you?" Vera paused before answering. "I think you are the balance our kind has lost." Ryan glanced back at her. "Balance doesn't last long in war." She gave a short nod. "Then let's make sure this time it does." The next morning, the halls of the Dominion roared with the sounds of training. Thousands of alien soldiers practiced under Ryan's direction. He had spent the night studying their fighting style and tactics. The Zarth warriors were powerful but predictable. Their strength came from tradition, not adaptation. Ryan moved among them, giving simple commands. "Faster, watch the flank. Don't charge blindly." The soldiers listened. At first, they hesitated to take orders from a human, but after watching him train side by side with them, sweating, striking, and falling, they began to understand him. Ryan fought like a soldier who had nothing left to prove but everything left to protect. Vera observed from a high platform. "They respect you," she said when he joined her. "No alien commander ever trained beside them. You lead by example. They see that." Ryan looked at the Legion below. "Respect doesn't win wars. Unity does." That afternoon, an alarm echoed across the fortress. A messenger rushed through the courtyard and bowed to Vera. "High Commander, a transmission from the outer colonies. The fleet of High Lord Drakkar's brother has entered our space. They demand vengeance." Vera's face darkened. "I knew this would come." Ryan stepped closer. "How many ships?" "3 battle fleets," the messenger said. "Their flagship carries the mark of the First House. They are already on course for Korathul." Ryan clenched his jaw. He wants revenge for his brother's defeat. Vera nodded. "And he will not stop until he burns this world." Ryan looked at the soldiers gathered in the courtyard. "Then we'll stop him first." By nightfall, preparations began. The Zarth city turned into a fortress. Cannons rose from hidden towers. Energy shields spread across the sky and fleets assembled in orbit. Ryan stood at the command center studying the star map. 3 red blips marked the incoming enemy forces. Vera joined him. "You plan to fight them here?" Ryan shook his head. "No, we meet them before they reach the planet. We take the fight to them." Vera looked surprised. "You would lead the fleet yourself?" "I broke a spear," Ryan said quietly. "I can break their pride too." At dawn, the Zarth fleet rose into the sky. The engines thundered as dozens of warships cut through the clouds. Ryan stood on the bridge of the flagship, wearing armor forged from the same metal as the broken spear. The soldiers called it the Breaker's Guard. Its dark surface shimmered faintly with blue energy. As the fleet left the atmosphere, Vera stood beside him at the controls. "The enemy fleet will be within range in 2 hours," Ryan nodded. "Then we show them something new." When the first enemy ships appeared on the scanner, Ryan gave the command. "All units spread formation. Keep the center open. Draw them in." The alien fleet advanced fast, their ships armed with heavy plasma cannons. They believed the humans would fight like they always did, head on. But Ryan had learned from both human and alien wars. He understood fear, patience, and timing. The first wave of enemy fire cut through the void, striking empty space. Ryan's fleet stayed silent, hidden in the shadow of a nearby moon. When the enemy moved closer, Ryan gave the order. Now. Dozens of hidden ships uncloaked behind the enemy formation, firing precise volleys into their engines. Explosions rippled across the stars. The enemy fleet scattered in confusion. Ryan's voice was calm. Push through their center. Keep formation tight. Vera watched him with quiet admiration. You command like someone born to it. He gave a small smile. I just think like someone who's tired of losing. The battle lasted hours. The dark sky above Korathul turned into a sea of fire. The enemy tried to regroup, but Ryan's strategies broke them apart. He led from the front, his ship taking hits and returning fire with perfect timing. When the enemy flagship finally appeared, Ryan's expression hardened. That's the brother's ship, Vera nodded. He calls himself Lord Zorak. He was always more ruthless than Drakkar. Ryan's ship accelerated, charging straight at the flagship. The two vessels exchanged a storm of energy blasts. Shields flared. The bridge shook under the impact. Vera shouted over the noise. Our shields are at half. Ryan steadied himself. Target his main cannon. The gunners followed his command. A direct hit tore through the enemy's front hull. Fire erupted across the enemy deck. Through the viewing screen, Ryan saw Zorak himself standing on his own bridge, roaring commands to his crew. Their eyes met across the void. Ryan opened the comm channel. Zorak, call off your attack. This doesn't have to end in more blood. Zorak's deep voice filled the room. You dare speak to me, human? You shamed my house. You broke my brother's spear. I will erase your name and your world. Ryan's tone stayed calm. Then come and try. The connection cut. Zorak's ship charged forward, weapons blazing. Ryan turned to Vera. Hold the line. I'm going over there. She grabbed his arm. That's suicide. He looked at her firmly. Sometimes the fastest way to end a war is to face the one who started it. Within minutes, Ryan boarded a drop shuttle with a team of elite Zarth soldiers. They cut through enemy fire, landing directly on Zorak's flagship. The corridors shook as they fought their way inside. Ryan moved at the front, deflecting blasts, his armor scorched and dented. They reached the bridge doors. Ryan turned to his team. Stay here. This is between him and me. The doors opened. Smoke filled the air. Lord Zorak stood at the center, towering in golden armor. His eyes burned with fury. So you are the human who shamed my brother, Zorak growled. Ryan stepped forward. He fought for pride. You fight for revenge. Both will destroy you, Zorak roared and charged. Their clash shook the ship. Ryan dodged the first strike, countering with a heavy blow to the chest. Sparks burst from the armor. Zorak swung again, striking Ryan's shoulder. Pain surged through him, but he didn't stop. They fought across the bridge, each strike echoing through the metal floor. Finally, Ryan caught Zorak's weapon and twisted. The blade snapped. Zorak stumbled back. Ryan moved forward and struck him down with a single powerful hit. The alien fell to his knees. Ryan's breathing was heavy. He stood over him. Enough. End this war. Zorak glared up. You think mercy makes you strong? Ryan answered quietly. It makes me human. He turned away. Behind him, Zorak collapsed to the floor. The bridge alarms blared as the ship began to lose power. Ryan spoke into his comm. Evacuate now. Within minutes, his team returned to their shuttle. The enemy fleet began to retreat. The battle was over. When Ryan's ship re-entered the atmosphere, the entire city of Korathul erupted in cheers. The soldiers raised their weapons in salute. The alien world that once called humans weak now shouted his name. On the fortress balcony, Vera met him as he stepped out of the shuttle. You did it, she said. You defeated the last High Lord who opposed the council. Ryan removed his helmet. We did it. They fought beside me. Vera's expression softened. The council has declared you guardian of the Dominion. They say no warlord has united the legions like this since the beginning of our age. Ryan looked up at the darkening sky. Then maybe it's time to make sure the next age doesn't begin with war. That night, the fires of celebration burned across the city. The legions of Zarth, once divided by pride, now stood together under a single banner. In the quiet of the fortress tower, Ryan looked out toward the stars. Peace was coming, but he knew peace never lasted long. Somewhere beyond those stars, others were watching. The Galactic Council would not ignore what had happened here. For now, though, the war was over. He had broken more than a spear. He had broken the chains of an empire. The fires of victory still burned across Korathul, but peace had not yet settled. The twin suns rose over the alien capital, casting long shadows across the fortress towers. Soldiers of every legion stood in the plazas below, their banners raised high. The once divided Dominion now moved as one. Ryan Hale stood on the highest balcony watching the alien city awaken. The armor he wore, the Breaker's Guard, gleamed faintly in the dawn. Below him, soldiers trained, repaired ships, and rebuilt the ruins left by the battle. He had ended a war, but he could feel a new storm building beyond the stars. Commander Vera joined him, her red armor polished, her face calm but serious. "The fleet scouts returned this morning," she said. "The Galactic Council has sent ships to our border. They say they come to observe, but we both know what that means." Ryan nodded slowly. "They're afraid." "They should be," Vera replied. "In 1 month you turned their greatest enemy into an ally. To them that looks like conquest." Ryan turned to face her. "I didn't come here to rule anyone. I came here because they left me no choice." Vera crossed her arms. "Intentions don't matter to those who fear change. You showed the galaxy that strength is not bound to race or empire. That terrifies them." Ryan's eyes drifted back toward the horizon. Then maybe it's time they stopped fearing and started listening. That afternoon, the Great Council of the Zarth Dominion assembled once more. The warlords, generals, and commanders filled the chamber, their banners hanging from the walls. In the center stood Ryan, unarmed and unarmored. Kor, the High Lord who now led the council, raised his voice. "The fleets of the Galactic Council are gathering near our space. They demand that the human leader of our dominion surrender himself for questioning. They fear we are preparing for war." The hall filled with angry murmurs. Some shouted that the humans were arrogant, others that the galaxy wanted to destroy what they could not control. Ryan raised his hand, and the room fell silent. "We won't fight them," he said. "Not unless they give us no other choice." A silver-scaled warlord stood. "They will see mercy as weakness." Ryan met his eyes. "Then let them." "But we know the truth. Real strength is not in destruction. It's in restraint." The hall grew quiet again. Even those who had doubted him now listened. Kor spoke after a long pause. "If they attack, you know what it will mean. The Dominion will burn again." Ryan nodded. "Then we make sure they never have a reason to attack." That evening, a message from the Galactic Council arrived. The holographic image of Counselor Tenar, a tall alien with crystal blue skin, appeared in the center of the war room. "Human Ryan Hale," Tenar said coldly, "your actions have disrupted the balance of this galaxy. You have united the Zarth legions, an empire that has spilled blood for centuries. The Council demands you disband this army and return to Earth. Refusal will be seen as preparation for war." Ryan listened quietly. When the message ended, the silence in the room was sharp. Vera looked at him. "They give us no path but surrender or conflict." Ryan shook his head. "There's always a third path, one they can't predict." He called for the fleet captains. Together, they planned a journey beyond the Dominion's borders. Ryan would go to the Council himself, not as a soldier but as a voice of peace. The risk was enormous. Many believed he would be arrested or executed the moment he stepped into their territory. When the time came to depart, thousands gathered at the launch site. The alien legions lined the walkways in silence, their heads bowed. Vera stood beside the ship, her eyes fixed on him. "You don't have to go alone," she said. Ryan smiled faintly. "If I bring an army, they'll see a threat. If I go alone, maybe they'll see a man." Vera placed her hand on his shoulder. "If they betray you, we will come." "I know," he said. "But I hope you won't have to." The ship lifted into the sky, cutting through the atmosphere until the blue glow of Korathul faded beneath him. Ryan looked out the window as stars filled the view. For the first time in years, he felt a strange calm. Days later, his small vessel arrived at the edge of Council space. The docking officers ordered him to disarm and step out unguarded. Ryan obeyed. When he entered the grand spire of the Council, hundreds of delegates turned to stare. Humans had long been viewed as new to the stars, brave, clever, but fragile. Yet here stood one who had done what no other could. He had united a species known for endless war. Counselor Tenar's voice broke the silence. "You come unarmed before the most powerful assembly in the galaxy. Why?" Ryan's answer was simple. "Because I don't need weapons to be heard." The council chamber buzzed with whispers. Tenar leaned forward. "You shattered the spear of dominion. You ended wars that shaped the balance of power. You could have taken control of the Zarth and turned them against us. Why didn't you?" Ryan looked around the hall. "Because I didn't come to rule anyone. I came to stop the cycle of fear. Every world in this room teaches its people to hate the other. You call it safety. I call it weakness. Several council members frowned, but others leaned closer. Ryan continued, his voice steady. When I fought Drakkar, I saw strength. When I fought his brother, I saw pride. But when I saw their soldiers bow not to fear but to respect, I realized what this galaxy has forgotten. You don't need to conquer to lead. You lead by showing another way. A long silence followed. Counselor Tinar finally spoke. And what is that way, human? Ryan took a slow breath. Strength with purpose. Power with mercy. The Dominion and Earth are not enemies. Together we can be a bridge between worlds. If you want peace, let us prove it. The chamber remained still for a moment longer. Then a soft chime echoed through the room, a symbol that the council had entered private deliberation. Ryan waited alone in the center. Minutes felt like hours. At last, the lights brightened again and Tinar stood. The council will not intervene in the Dominion's affairs, he said. Your actions have changed the course of this galaxy. Perhaps that change is what we need. Ryan bowed his head slightly. Then let's make it count. When he returned to Korathul, the city was alive with celebration. The fleets of the Galactic Council had withdrawn. Peace had been declared. Vera met him as he stepped from his ship. They let you live, she said with a faint smile. They let us live, Ryan corrected. For the first time, they saw the Dominion not as monsters but as equals. The plaza below erupted in cheers. The soldiers shouted his name again, their voices rising like thunder. Breaker! 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 Ryan looked out over them, his voice calm but strong. You don't need to fight to prove who you are. The galaxy has watched us destroy ourselves for too long. Now they will watch us build. That night, the stars above Korathul shone brighter than ever. Fleets from both Earth and the Dominion began to form a new alliance. Trade routes reopened, and old enemies sat together at the same table. The legend of the human who broke the spear spread across 100 worlds, yet even in peace, Ryan knew the galaxy would test him again. Power always attracted fear, and fear always tried to destroy what it didn't understand. But he was ready. As he walked through the quiet halls of the fortress, Vera joined him one last time. You changed us, she said softly. You gave our people something greater than victory. Ryan smiled faintly. I didn't give it. You always had it. You just needed to see it. From the balcony, he watched the sunrise again. The city glowed golden under the twin suns. Ships lifted into the sky, heading toward the stars. Ryan's voice was calm. If peace won't come by fear, then it will come by strength. Not the kind that destroys, but the kind that endures. Behind him, the banners of the Dominion fluttered in the wind, no longer symbols of conquest, but of unity. The human who once came as a prisoner now stood as the bridge between worlds and across the galaxy. The name Ryan Hale, Breaker of Dominion, became a legend, a reminder that even in the darkest corners of space, humanity's will could reshape the stars.